order the, oh, yeah, let's make sure that Z is here. Awesome. Yeah. All right, now I will open the meeting for the RDC. Will you please stand and join me for the pledge? If we could do the roll call.
Mayor Bonta,
Here.
Commissioner Ambler,
Here.
Commissioner Jazwiak,
Here.
Commissioner Lack,
Here.
Commissioner Munt,
Here.
and Commissioner Vasquez.
Here.
Did everybody have a chance to read the minutes from June 26th? And is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? I'm sorry. Shoot. We already had that part. Sorry. Motion to approve. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. That gets us to the payment of claims. Did everyone have a chance to look at the claims? Are there any questions, concerns, or a motion?
Motion to accept the claims.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That'll get us to staff reports. Under old business, we have Dan Bowditch for consideration home TIF RHDPs for Bauer Farm and Sandy Trail.
So if, I would ask Sonia, do you have the copies of the, oh, okay. So you have copies of the residential housing development programs in front of you. I will note that I normally do this last, only because it has to be confirmed and made sure and verified that it's accurate. It does not include the legal description. I usually do that with the planning staff and make sure it's consistent with the plat. If you want me to go through it in detail, I will. Basically, the purpose of the residential housing development program is the first step in establishing an economic development area or redevelopment area for new housing development in with the purpose of creating and designating an allocation area. This first step is for there are a total of 5 neighborhood subdivisions that are contemplated. The agenda only includes Bauer Farm and Sandy Trail, so I will focus on those. The others are River Trace, Carlson, Farmington, Swanson Trails, which also will be provided to you within the next 2 weeks, and they will be on the agenda for next meeting to consider it in their entirety. Basically, it states the legislative authority for the residential housing development program. It describes the project in its development, the number of units, the type of units. It also goes through and describes the amount of assessed value that would be created by each of the residential developments, as well as the gross AV, the net assessed value, and the total taxes that would be paid based upon the tax liability and the assessment of the structures. The information was provided by the developers themselves, which was important, and I did confirm the information with the developers. In addition, and I will say the result in the delay of this presentation to you of these 2 and as well as the 5 was because in the passage of SE 8-1, which impacted the application of the homestead deduction, standard homestead deduction, as well as the supplemental homestead deduction, which required us to go back and correct all the application of how we get from the gross assessed value to the net assessed value, as well as a $300 credit on everybody's taxes. It's limited to $300, but it's a potential of $300 credit that is applied to your taxes afterwards to get to that final tax liability on each unit. I did want to go through, let me pull up Bauer Farms very quickly. In essence, on page, let me get to it. On page 4 is the illustrative site plan map. It is the proposal of new construction of 236 residential dwelling units, single-family units in particular, on between .14 acres at a traditional single-family site of 50 to 60 feet wide, and up to .21 acres on a 70-foot wide lot. The total acreage is 52.7 acres. In addition to the 236 single-family dwelling units, it's been calculated that based upon a $350,000 average value, the gross assessed value of the project would be $82,600,000. Again, that is after the application of the deductions. The net actually, that's the gross AV. After the application of the deductions, the net assessed value would be $27,505,500, with an estimated annual tax liability upon full build-out for pay 2032 of $656,250. So about $650,000. The current zoning of the property is R4 city core residential, 4 single-family residential development, so it meets that criteria. The estimated investment by the developer is approximately $80 million for the project. It is permissible and does meet the criteria of the statute. There is no acquisition that's required as far as this project. There is no eminent domain that is necessary. In fact, it's prohibited under the statute for Redevelopment Commission, but we do identify it. In the event that there is a disposal of property, that would have to be done in accordance with Section 22 of the Redevelopment Law. It does make a finding that the statement of statutory finding that is similar to, it will be similar to each of the residential housing development programs, that the Bauer Farm Residential Housing Development Program will benefit the public health and welfare and the sustainable as well as efficient land use development consistent with infrastructure provisions and smart land use development, sustainable growth principles. It will provide an adequate housing to meet the demands of the current housing market for the efficient land use development infrastructure provisions. It will increase the property tax base and diversify the property tax base, provide construction positions for temporary construction employment in the construction industry, as well as as far as economic development, when companies locate here, we are providing not only individuals to move from other states or other areas into Portage and have Portage grow, but it allows for new companies to provide those employees that are relocating market value or valued houses in the city of Portage rather than looking outside the city of Portage for that development. That is an overview of the Bauer Farms. I will go into Sandy Trails. The same is similar for the findings. As far as Sandy Trails, in general, it is 53.24 acres. It is, let's see here. It is proposed for new construction of 236 new residential dwelling units, duplexes, so they are 2 units within one building. Yes, that's the way I understand.
So we're clear, by our definition, this is funny because this came up into the social media side of it. So in Portage, a duplex is when it's one property, one building, divided into 2 units that is rented on each side.
Right.
These are owner occupied, where there's a property line that runs through the building, so you're taking out a mortgage or you're putting your money together to purchase your half, not just your half of the building, but the lot that's in there. The land was always zoned multifamily. Sometime relatively recently, the Board of Zoning Appeals worked with the developer or heard a petition from the developer to make some changes that impacted the layout of the roads in the proposed subdivision, but it also set in stipulations that prevent them from being rentals, I believe through the HOA. I think Tom Cherry could confirm that. That was Brent Wright's proposal when that got worked out. So I say that because these are owner-occupied units, these are not rental properties, and that took some doing.
2 homes per lot to unit, right? Correct. That's my understanding.
And I don't want to interrupt, but this is a great example of why we want to utilize the things we have, because this neighborhood was coming anyway, but making use of a residential TIF program allows us to capture revenue to pay for what's coming to our city. We can't take a time machine and change the fact the neighborhood could come, but what we can do is make the most out of it for coming.
Right. So the average value of the units individually is $225,000. Phased in and upon build-out over the period of 2026 through 2030, a 5-year period similar to Bauer Farm. The gross assessed value would be about $68 million. The net assessed value would be about $22,630,000, with an annual tax liability estimated to be about $540,000 at full build-out. The property is currently zone planned development M1 for multifamily residential development, so it does meet the criteria for the project that's out there now. The anticipated investment by the developer is $68 million for the project overall. And again, as I stated, the same statement of finding of facts, there is no acquisition list of parcels. There is no property that's required to be acquired or disposed of in this case. And in essence, this provides for the necessary initiation of the residential housing development program to establish an economic development area in this case. And then after a 30-day period, and it's sent to the Portage Township assessor, as well as overlapping taxing units, and made available to impacted property owners, those being within 300 feet of the property line. In some instances, it's deemed to be the center of the property. I typically go by the property line because regardless of what the center is, it could be a 1 mile parcel, and if you go 300 feet from the 1 square mile of property, you're not going to have any impacted owners. So going 300 feet from the boundary seems to be more transparent and makes it available to the public to know the impacts. There's no action that needs to be taken tonight, only that you review it. If there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those. Again, the information was provided by the developer, except for the calculation of the assessed value, the gross assessed value, net assessed value, and the tax, potential tax liability. Once it is finalized, we'll get it out to the impacted property owners again and to those by statute, and that starts a 30-day period of review.
With it not being action tonight, the goal is for the 5 neighborhoods to
Yes.
all still go at the same pace so
Yes.
that we're not on one step with
Yes.
one and one step with another.
Right, and I would do the other 3, but they're not on the agenda.
No problem.
So I just want to make sure we stick to the agenda tonight.
Sure thing. Yeah, go.
I'm not sure if our mayor knows the answer to this, or any of you. Do the developers meet with the school district?
So we,
Superintendent or
Very good
the
question.
CFO? We
Yes.
want to plan
Yeah,
and
we-
make sure.
we actually had that meeting this week. That was Tuesday. Was that right, Dan? So we had a meeting with Dr. Amanda Elenes, the school superintendent, the school's CFO, Jason, the school's representative from Baker Tilly, as well as our financial advisor, Buzz Crone, plus Mr. Bowditch. Andy Miletta, the school board president, was there, as was I, and Mr. Tom Cherry, although in a rare event, Tom Cherry did not do too much of the talking. And a thorough review was done to go over the impact to the school system. And what Baker Tilly and the school system concluded through that meeting and that review is that there was no negative impact on the school system by the program. There is opportunity, though, to increase funding from the school system. 2 components of that. One is renegotiating the school's SRO deal, because the funding that the city receives for this is bringing in money for public safety. We can reduce the cost that we're working with on the school, where the school's currently paying for SROs. The other piece is that the RDC in our next budget, we can increase the amount that we give to the schools in a grant, which is a very flexible way, to do it. We have other ideas about if deals like this are done in the future to directly make the school the beneficiary, but given our public safety needs in the city that the school system also acknowledges, this is our first step to getting it off the ground. But it was an extremely productive meeting, and actually the reason why we're meeting today rather than last week on Thursday was so that this meeting happened after the meeting with the school system. I promised that to Dr. Alanes, and that's why we're meeting here today rather than last week as scheduled. That answered a bit.
In addition,
Yes,
in addition
it
to
did.
that, we did calculate based upon, and we used the average and a parameter of, for each unit, 0.5 to 0.75 students, which is consistent with the school itself now. That would create anywhere from 270 to 400 new students at the school. Now, if we use, if you can give me 1 second, 270 times.
I know it's being calculated, so I'll, yeah, go ahead.
That would be an addition because of federal and state funding formula. That would be an addition of $2,100,000 to $3,100,000, just for these two projects. That doesn't include the entire,
One of
all
the,
five.
one of the challenge, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, although we are losing a lot funding in
Oh,
future,
definitely.
so it
And-
might,
And so is the city. And that's
Yes.
where there's a challenge, not just under SCA 1, but the circumstances with how, and I've talked about this before, but you never know if there's a first-time person watching this or a first-time person in the audience. One of the challenges we deal with in Indiana, schools get some funding based on how many students they have. Cities do not, at least not currently. And that creates an issue when you have a city that's dependent on property tax and a school system that has a property tax component but also has funding from the students. And this is something Dr. Alanes and I have had really some fantastic discussion on, is the issue of we've got a school system where, despite what some people think, the numbers, our school system has reduced its population significantly over time. In 2018, there were 8,200 students in the Portage schools. Now, going into this year, they're looking at 6,400. One of the big issues is that, simply put, and this is not just Portage, this is all over the region, families are not having as many children, and they're having children later in life. I'm one to talk, I'm 35, and maybe we'll see what happens. I might be the first, well, we'll see what happens. But anyway, all that is to say, the other thing is even though Portage has grown over time, demographically, and the school system did the work of paying for and doing the study, a lot of the growth that's happened in Portage in the last 10 years has primarily been people who, I certainly wouldn't say older because I'm turning 35 this month, but people who are 35 and up, and in many cases people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, and we welcome people like that, but they're often people moving to our city after their children have grown or after their children have graduated high school and then they're moving to a new place. What's actually interesting about not just these neighborhoods, but the other ones that we're putting into this program, they have potential because of the type of homes that it could attract more families with children or families that are going to have children. It could also attract other people who are downsizing within our city. This is something that was also discussed in the meeting with the financial advisors. One of the interesting things, at least with Bowers so far and with River Trace, we're seeing people who live in Portage who maybe they're like my parents where, you know, my brothers and I, we're not living in the home anymore. You've got people who are looking to downsize, but they still want to stay in Portage. And so they're looking at these homes that are getting built to be able to live in Portage still. But then what that does is it opens up the homes for young people who are looking for a starter home, which is actually a really good phenomenon because one of the issues we've dealt with in Portage is the availability of starter homes in existing neighborhoods. There just haven't been that many for sale, and we're starting to see that again to some extent. Sorry if that was a little long-winded, Dan.
No, but we did meet with the school corporation, and we did go through all the potential positive and negative impacts.
thank you.
I can't stress
Appreciate
how
it.
important this is to me
Yes.
because it would be great if the formula that funds schools in Indiana was the same formula that funds cities. But because they are not the same formulas, it's imperative that we work together to make sure that we assist the school and also assist the city where we can, you know?
Because I was looking at that $350,000 price range, and I know that a lot of young families, or should I say families with young children, are probably not all ready to invest that kind of money. but the other amount is what, 225,000?
225.
Speaking somewhat anecdotally with a family member, I've got a brother who him and his, I'd say new wife, not the first and hopefully only wife, it is to say, but they are currently living in an apartment and they're looking for a place, and they've had a hard time looking for a spot in Portage because of the price of the homes. Again, I was really blessed that when I got my home in 2014, it was the year before my student loans counted as my overall debt. But all said and done, that's a fun story that I remember. But all that is to say, there are young families, not necessarily all with children yet, who are looking for something that they can afford to be able to live in a place like Portage. And so there's a pro there. The con is, so to speak, cities don't normally gain money from any neighborhood development because it's an added cost compared to the amount that we receive from it. So what's great about a residential TIF program or a home TIF program, it allows us to be able to utilize neighborhoods to pay for things that the normal system would not allow us to pay for. So it's getting the most out of something that's sometimes challenging.
Oh, you're welcome.
Just want to circle back. You said it was 276 duplexes, correct? So that it would be double
236.
236 and then double that, right? And you said that once it would be owner occupied.
Yeah,
What's on the other side?
well, no, they're all
No.
owner occupied. We're talking about one neighborhood is the paired housing, and so they're all owner occupied. The other neighborhood is all single family homes.
Right. Family homes. Right.
Duplexes, but what's on each side?
So Bauer Farm, and I just want to clarify,
No, fusion. Residential unit on both sides.
The difference in the way that was created was there's a zero lot line
Down
in
the
the
middle.
middle. So it reads wonky, but it's a zero side yard setback, AKA common wall. And you own your half of the residence and the ground below, and that is, we've set it up in a way that then can get a mortgage. And then the price of both units does tend to get you into a price range that most likely someone's not buying both halves to rent the other half. And if they would be living in the other half, because I think the price point was somewhere around 300 a side.
and I say that with some carefulness because I know that a lot of people use the word duplex interchangeably with any situation where you have a building where there's a living unit on one half and a living unit on the other. But from our, not just perspective, but the way it is in our city with how we do it, a duplex is when it's a building, it's got those two units, and that building is on one property. So if you were to buy, quote, a duplex, like if you were driving into the existing, developed area of our city, and you saw a building with two units, it's a duplex when you call the realtor to buy it, and when you buy it, you get the whole building, the whole property. There's no property line through the middle. Paired housing is when there's a shared wall, the zero setback.
Setback.
If you saw a duplex and it was a duplex in the city for sale, and you called the realtor and say, I want to buy the duplex, they're going to say, okay, you buy it, and they're going to assume that you're either going to live in one half and rent the other, or you're going to rent both. And the price is lower because the fact that it's a building like that on one piece of property. If you go into Sandy Trails when the homes are being built and you see the for sale sign, if you call the realtor and say, I want to buy, and then you just, let's say you just tell the home and where it is, he's going to say, well, which one do you want? And if you say, no, I want to buy the whole building because I want to rent both, he's going to say, you can't do that. You could buy more than one unit. We can't legally stop somebody from buying two properties. But legally speaking and financially speaking, that's the mortgage equivalent of buying two houses in a single-family home that are next to each other lot-wise. The cost goes down because they're sharing a wall, but from a property standpoint, they are two different properties and owner-occupied. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you for the clarification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine two houses just being
Just pushed together.
right next to each other.
Right, because I think a lot of people think duplexes is owner occupied. Okay,
Right.
so you're in one and you're gonna rent the other one.
Right.
But that
What?
really helped. Thank
So
you.
that's why in the,
If you go to Preston Trails, you can see homes like that. The best way to think about it is think about you've got a property with a house, right? And a property with a house. We have laws that say what the setbacks have to be, as in, and by setback, we mean the distance from the wall to the property line. And let's say that setback is, just making a number, 20 feet. So 20 feet from the property line is one house, and then on the other side, 20 feet away, is the other house. And that means those two houses are 40 feet apart. In a zero setback, they're both built along the property line so close that physically it is one wall. But legally, they are not just two different units, they are two different properties. You have to buy each of them, well, you don't have to buy each, but if you wanted to buy both, you're financially buying two homes, not buying one building. And that makes them more affordable than just a single-family house with more than a zero setback. But it also prevents them from being what I think we get concerned about when we think about a big rental unit or big rental area.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
I'm never offended by people colloquially saying duplexes, but as mayor, I just got to be careful about what we call it. Again, some people don't personally like that, but that's not material to the work that went into making sure that this wasn't a bunch of rental units and that these were of a quality that we'd be able to handle. And understand that from a starting point, that was not guaranteed with this with this land already being zoned what it was when we started. It took a lot of effort from the developer in the city to get to this better point.
Will Sandy Trails have a small park or an area if we're expecting families with younger children, you know, a place where they can play, it's safer? I'm just looking at that.
Tom, if you know offhand, you can, but it's not material to this discussion.
Yeah.
To simply put it, yeah.
but it shows on the site plan that there
So,
is
yeah.
open space
Oh,
on
yeah,
the
right
west
there.
side of the
Okay.
property, the south side, as well as the north side.
Oh, and actually,
for
when
the
you
kind-
look at that map and you see the design, so part of what the city worked with, because the original plan the developer had was just straight grids. It looked like a tic-tac-toe crossing thing to fit as many homes as they could. Part of what the BZA worked with was to create a different flow, to create a better neighborhood feel for it.
You're welcome. So if there's any recommendations, revisions, questions, please contact me, and we'll get you the other three for next month.
And I don't see Mr. Uran. I'd love to see him, I just don't see him here.
Mr. Uran had sent an email right after I emailed you guys all of the agenda last week. I just didn't take him off. I
No-
didn't wanna
no
send
worries.
another one.
But it is to say, I think time-wise, I think we captured it, so. We'll jump to new business, consideration, design for promenade signage. I wish we had some like epic music to play when like people come up, you know?
Somewhat.
Epic music, like
Epic.
something kind of like Tom Cherry's walking in.
I like the Bulls entrance. What was that? And now. All right. So at Commissioner Locke's request, we looked into the alternative idea for the sign, and enclosed in your packet is the sketch as to what that would look like. So very similar to their first sketch, but utilizing that pillar. So I don't know if everybody had a chance to look at it. We're not paying for this, by the way. This is just giving them permission to do it on our property.
Would you be willing to lift it up to show us, or
Is
maybe
it not
bring it
in
back?
your,
Oh, I'm not seeing, oh,
yeah, it's very similar to the other one, but it's just utilizing this pillar.
so to clarify, this is permission for the owner to do it.
To do it, yeah, the
Yeah.
promenade, just to give themselves some street side advertisement to get business back there. If everybody is in if this is something you want to move forward with, I would recommend that it would be contingent upon staff approval of landscaping and some other issues, so that would be my recommendation if everybody was okay with this.
How do we have to do a lease, or how do we give them land for that?
Or we could make your, whatever recommendation you want to do, you know?
I have no idea.
So I'm interested in that part because, well, and again, it's interesting because whenever the developer, I'm sorry, in this case, the owner, I'm saying developer like we don't already know where the promenade is and it's not finished, but them paying for the construction is actually kind of a, I don't want to say a win, but that is good. I say that as somebody who is still very interested in doing our own sign by like the Portage Mall, you know,
I mean,
in
I
the
believe
future.
this is going to spur on economic development in those stores in the back that nobody, you know, the visibility is bad.
I think
So,
that, to put it really simply, I definitely think it's an economic driver because, I mean, if you go, we want to have businesses in those spaces that are in Founders Square, especially where the pizza place used to be. I
Right.
believe there's another empty spot, or at least it maybe functioned as one, but I think it's two different spots. We know that Big Time Burgers is back there, and we of course want people to drive by and, you know, see and know that it's there, not just when a festival is going on. It makes sense to me that, given the fact that the RDC played a role in shaping the park because we wanted to bring business into there, it definitely seems like a good idea. I say it because I think this is different than, let's just say, if someone approached us about wanting to put a electronic highway billboard, you know, on land that we owned. I would expect us to make like a profit off of that because we're essentially leasing an advertising space that generates revenue. This is space that brings it into our downtown, you know, into the square. I would almost wonder, and I'm thinking out loud, you know, and I'm looking at our attorney, if this were to last as like a quote like lease, I mean, could it be like a duration of time where it's rent-free for so many years and then we review it? Or I guess what I'm wondering is if someone else is paying to build it, which is great, how do we address the issue of permanency of the structure? I can't stress that I love the idea, but I hope the question makes sense.
Who would be responsible for the continuing maintenance? And just to add, because I was going to add to the answer, but I think
it'd be the promenade. Whoever owns the owner of that development back there.
I think we need to enter into an MOU between us and the developer, and whether it's this board, and outline what we are, both sides of the transaction, or giving to the transaction for the transaction to occur, and then we can outline whose responsibilities go from there.
I think that makes some sense to me, because like I say, I think the idea is good. I think that, not to say I'm surprised that when the Promenade and Founders Square was built, something like this wasn't built from the start, but I think that it's the sort of thing where I think it would have been nice to have had from the start, but I appreciate that it's of the interest of the owner of the Promenade that they would want to contribute that part, you know?
And then, as long as Chief Crail is here, is that going to impact any of the fire trucks getting out for visibility on the Central?
I don't think it'll affect us at all. I think it's far enough to the west that we'll be able to slide right out. And we're loud enough that people notice anyway, so we typically drive it like we own it.
He did mention that the reason he left a gap there is to help with visibility. So that was thought of by the designer.
Tom, what are you seeking in terms of like a motion to be worded as? Is it a motion to like proceed, or is it?
Motion to grant, I'm sorry, wrong tube. Grant approval for the use of our property contingent upon sorry, wrong tube. Contingent upon the accepted MOU as well as a staff approval of the landscaping and everything else involved.
So moved.
So moved, okay.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Oh
Second.
my gosh.
Are
Had
you
a
all
mint
right?
in my mouth, yeah.
Take a minute, yeah. So we had Penny as a second. So we have a motion and a second, assuming that Tom is okay. You all right?
I'm gonna make it.
Cool.
I had a piece of mint in my mouth that went down the wrong tube.
Was it one of Dan Comenda's mints that he's always handing out?
Yeah,
or-
pretty much, the lifesavers.
All in favor? Yeah, not really a lifesaver. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And then that gets us to consideration approval of engineering services for roundabout. I say that?
You did.
All right, so Tom, what's going on?
This is for, we got three, thank you, appreciate that. We got 3 bids that were submitted for the design, engineering of the roundabout. The 3 bids were as follows. One is from A&Z Engineering in the amount of $360,205. Water. The next one is RQAW in the amount of $508,522. And the third one is from BF&S, and they give us a range of anywhere from $295,000 to $495,000. After discussion with Assistant Director McDaniel, Director Bowditch, and President Austin Bonta, the staff recommendation would be to award A&Z Engineering with the contract.
So we have the recommendation for A&Z. Are there any questions? I would just state that this is for the design towards making an area accessible in the
Correct.
future.
Yes.
This is not a guarantee or even really a promise that such a roundabout is going to happen. It is set up, though, to be a design so that if we have a area of development in the spot that is considered worthwhile, which would take city council to approve the overall, deal, we already have the design ready so that it's a question of is it a good idea, not it's a question of is it a good idea and are we in a time crunch to be able to start if the idea is approved. I'm always careful with that, just to clarify.
Well, one thing to take into consideration, Mayor, is that because it's already on the shelf and we have it available, if a developer were to come before the Redevelopment Commission and ask for incentive of development, we could give them the design, they can build it, and then we would reimburse them either through, as part of the financial incentive. So.
Good to have on
it
the
would-
shelf, too.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's good to have, so, yeah, definitely. And we have had interest in that property if access was available.
Yep.
Is A to Z's proposal in here? I'm not seeing RQAW and
I saw one page of it.
BF&S.
I don't know if the rest of it didn't scan.
By any chance, does the A&Z guy here have a copy of your
Well, I
proposal?
do have-
Oh, no.
I do have a copy, but it, for whatever reason,
It's in there, Wilma? Oh, it is in there?
Is it?
Okay.
okay, the entire A and Z? Okay.
In the electronic that was sent.
For some reason, mine didn't have it, but it had just one page of it, so.
So if you're
What
looking
if-
at it on paper, you're seeing one page. That might be a printing thing, but if you're looking electronic, then you see it in your Dropbox. Thank you, Wilma. Because I've kind of read it already. And I know that you said bid, and again, just like, colloquial term, but this was an RFP process, not a, is that correct? Because we didn't have to do the envelope opening. Yeah. I'm careful about words and the language we use. Goes back to my college days. So it sounds like what you're requesting, Tom, based on staff recommendation, is a motion to approve the acceptance for the A and Z for the total of $360,205, or at least I would say that's the staff recommendation. Is that right?
Correct.
So moved.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Well, it did pass. Don't worry, we're going to be okay. All right, that gets us to Tom Cherry. Tom, you're on a roll.
Yep.
We've got consideration approval of Midwestern Electric proposal for reallocation of traffic signal lines at 6070 Central Avenue. No, 6071 Central Avenue.
Correct.
Sorry.
I don't know how deeply you want me to get into this, or,
I think it's to say this has to do with fixing the traffic signal over here by Irving and
Correct.
Central.
yeah, the wiring was in such a way that the new owners of the property, it's basically on their property, and our shut-off switch, everything, our wiring is on their property. So this is to move that wiring, and also move the transformer to a different area of that lot so that we can still have a traffic signal. Midwest Electric looked into another source to possibly tap into, and it's just, there's nothing close, so this is our best option.
And I imagine making it a roundabout over there would also be like not affordable given the
So
circumstance.
that was my next motion. No.
Okay. Sorry. What's the total cost on our
I'm
end?
sorry, I'll keep going.
Sorry.
Total cost on this, we are sharing the cost of the developers of the lot are also sharing in this cost. Our portion is $11,665.50. Staff would recommend approval. This is to be done on August 5th as well, so we need to-
Somewhat expedient, yeah.
Yep, so.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I didn't really mean to scare you with the roundabout idea there. That's, no, no. We totally have the money for that, right? No.
Bring it, I'm not scared.
All right, that gets us to Mr. Bill Rathjen for a consideration, property acquisition.
Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, Mayor. First, I just apologize for missing the meeting last month. I don't normally do that, but I did have a family commitment with a fishing pole last time, so.
Did you catch any fish?
Yes, we did. That's a discussion for another time, but we have a transaction. I have three issues for you tonight. The first one will be a transaction that we're currently underway. We have a purchase agreement signed and in the works with the parcel 152-017, which is the 17 acres up by the Marina Shore, pardon me, Marina Shore property. When we authorized that purchase, I failed to ask for approval for the mayor to sign the escrow agreement. So tonight I'll be asking for approval for the mayor to sign the escrow agreement and to authorize the payment of the escrow money to the title company. That will be my first motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And now that we have that transaction going in place, there's some due diligence that we need to do as the buyers. So we're going to be doing some testing on the site once the seller gives us all the information he has. And I'd like to ask, just to prevent another month's delay, I'd like to ask for $7,500 for due diligence testing, not to exceed. Any questions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. And our last issue is relative to the purchase of a parcel for the Burns Parkway construction. And I think, Scott, do you want to handle that one?
Yeah, to give the board an update, I had the opportunity this week to talk, and this is in regards to the Ewing Mary R. Living Trust property. I had the opportunity to talk to the legal representative, the attorney for the Ewing family. and ultimately was a good conversation. And the gist of the conversation is that we want the family to have full access to the information that we have available so that everybody has a full understanding of what conceptual plans have been put together, what things are existing out there on the north side or the Hillcrest area, that whatever information that we have concerning some of the issues that we're dealing with as far as our utility easements, whether those be the NIPSCO or even our north side interceptor project, basically just to have a full sit-down meeting and sharing of whatever information that we currently have, either now or historical. I left it up to their council as to whether that would be officially in a meeting with their council traveling to Portage and us meeting in a room and doing it that way, or if it was going to be by a Zoom or by Teams to try to be as accommodating as possible. Or, and last but not least, if some of that information may be disseminated without the attorneys in the room and just with some staff and some family, all of the potential options so that whatever is most comfortable to the family so that they can get all of this information would happen between now and the next meeting. And however that is requested back is what we would do in response. And given that, ultimately what I would be asking tonight to clear the way for that would be for the board to consider, and again, Bill I'm only involved in this recommendation because I was talking to legal counsel, but ultimately Bill would have been requesting that the mayor be able to sign an LOI on this property, have the timing go all the way out to, I believe it's August 30th.
Yes.
For the timing of that LOI, that would allow the parties to get together and do that exchange of information so that we can do our best to put our foot forward with that information exchange and try to get everybody to at least understand what the current situation is, and then that way we can at least be talking from the same set of facts. And then also, as part of that motion, I would just ask that, and I think Bill and I talked about this before the meeting, that when and if it's requested that we do an LOI, that part of the motion is that it's not only the mayor can sign the LOI, but we can continue down the process, the purchase agreement, the escrow agreement, closing, so that the timing isn't messed up getting to the next meeting in 30 days. So it doesn't mean, obviously if the LOI is signed, and whether it's this case or another piece of property, then obviously the board knew we were wanting to purchase it, so giving that approval at the front end for the mayor to continue to sign doesn't really put us any peril. But I'd be happy to answer any question.
Is there a motion to proceed?
So move.
Do we have a second?
This does not include,
To put it simply, this is a motion to do a consensual agreement with the family, and it's been a tremendous step to be able to really get to know and have our people be able to talk to them. This is strictly a motion to do a consensual agreement.
thank you.
I'll just be
Yeah.
clear, this is not, I'm not asking for permission to condemn or use eminent domain. I'm not asking the city council to give this board well, but I want to get it on the record because I think it's important. I am not asking for that authority right now. And when and if I ask for that authority, we have to start at the council. The council has to avail this board of that authority. So that is not what I'm asking for today. This is the beginning of an attempted arm's length transaction. That's all this is at this point in time. When and if this were to change and to go into some other direction, this board would be part of that decision.
As of right now, it's a consensual agreement that we are pursuing, and that's exactly what we want to have happen.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just as a reminder on that same issue, you authorized the appraisals back in April, so we are all set. If we're able to get a transaction done, we're all set to get that moving.
That gets us to the, Mr. Hannon, the 8.5 discussion, the compost site.
Good afternoon. It turns out we're not actually going to be asking for any action tonight. I would just give you a status report. So if you're familiar with the compost site is on your property up between Highway 249 and Highway 12, that site is a very active site. The street department is in charge of operating it for us, along with the solid waste, Porter County Solid Waste people. Recently, the IDEM inspectors have required us to stop draining, I would say naturally, onto the property to the east of us. So we've basically plugged our drainage system, and now we have what I call lake compost over at our compost site. So we have come up with a plan that I've shared with Randy Reeder to formally drain the site. Randy just today sent me an email accepting the design, that he's happy with the proposed solution. The next steps will be to share that with our friends at IDEM. If they are in agreement with the plan, then we will proceed to construct the new drainage system. We have alternatives. One of the alternatives would be to do it in-house with our own field forces. We always give them an opportunity to look at projects, and if they choose to do it, they do it for us in-house. If not, then we will be having to bring in a private contractor. At that point, maybe in either case, there will be some financial requirements to get the project done. But first steps first, street department has accepted the design, they're happy with it. They will be our representatives with the IDEM inspector. They will present it to them. If the inspector agrees with the plan, then we'll be back talking about implementing a plan to eliminate lake compost. So it's just a status report today because we're not really asking for any action.
How long has lake compost been in existence?
We were required to plug the drain late last winter. So this is it's an immediate, it's a short-term problem. It's a significant problem. We think we have a good solution. We're hoping our friends at IDEM agree with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That gets us to consideration Countryside Park roof. I don't see Kelly here. Tom, do you know are you here to speak on that or? Talk about that. Sure.
Is there a dollar amount, Sonia, that we got? You could have just said it.
It's $3 million. I'm just kidding. No. Yeah. It's not so bad as what I just said.
I'm not seeing a dollar amount. Am I missing that? Okay.
You had a couple that submitted, and then it was looked at, and the whole thing wasn't going to be done, just a portion, so I don't know a dollar amount to give on that.
Yeah, I think we may, well, this was basically, she was gonna, as part of your grant that you gave the park department, part of the grant money was gonna be used. This is more of a courtesy to tell you how it was being used. Part of some shingles were blown off on both of those Countryside Park buildings. Somebody recommended replacing both roofs. I took a look at those roofs and I didn't believe that was the case. I think we have years left with those. So decision was made just to patch it up, with same color shingles and just patch it properly. I don't have a dollar amount for that, but this was more of a courtesy, just to
Because
let
it's still
you know.
within the parks fund or the
Yeah, it's
gift
within
fund.
the, yeah.
And my $3 million was strictly a joke, but I did think we were going to find the real number, so that's why I regret making the joke now.
I mean, the original tear out, I mean, you could imagine what both roofs would have cost to replace them.
Oh, yeah.
and, Yeah, we're just gonna be doing some patching, so I can't assume it's gonna be more than a couple thousand, so.
I think, Tom, if I recall, it was $2,600,
Is that what it was?
I
Did you
believe,
find
yeah.
that in there?
The patching.
Okay,
Then there's another quote for one of the entire buildings was $19,000.
yeah, correct, yeah, so, so patching it is 26, you found that? Okay, I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared to come up, I didn't know if she was gonna be here.
That's okay.
So-
Yeah, if we're comfortable with 2,600, if that sounds, right, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
And more, so it's for your information, that's how she'll be using the funds available from her.
That's already
annual
available in there
distribution
as a
and
courtesy,
grant.
yeah.
yep, correct.
Motion to approve.
Second.
So we have a motion? Don't need a motion, okay.
You've already made that motion and approved it, that's why they have the money to spend.
And then that gets us to Chief Crail. Is this also the case, because it has gift use fund? Well, come on up and tell us what you're doing.
Good evening, everyone. In 2024, late 2024, we were awarded a port security grant to upfit our dive boat. Part of that grant, we had a 25% match for the city of Portage. Director Bowditch helped put together a capital stack. Part of that capital stack was using funds from our RDC grant to help fill in some of that gap. So you should have before you 4 receipts, or 4 invoices, I'm sorry, for totaling $9,629.42 that we would like to use out of our RDC grant to cover portion of our 25%.
Mayor, the funds are available for this purpose, so I
Sure.
don't know if you need to have approval for it. You've already approved the,
If it's the same
use of the
situation as the
funds.
park, I would think it is, so.
it's the same use of the funds, correct, Scott? Yes.
Then I think you are good to go, but we appreciate you letting us know.
All right, thank you very much.
I don't think it's required, but I like the tradition or the setup of the departments letting us know what they're using it for. I think it's a really good one for transparency's sake. That's good. All right. Any other business that the commission deems necessary? Yes, Mr. Bowditch.
A couple issues I did want to bring up. On July 24th, the State Board of Accounts of Indiana did hold an exit conference for the city's finances in closing 2024 fiscal year. Part of that was the review of the Redevelopment Commission's finances. And to my knowledge, I was here. I did not hear any comments that were material or immaterial that related to the Redevelopment Commission. So it appears we have a clean slate and everything was done appropriately through the clerk's office, clerk treasurer's office, as well as with staff. So I want to thank everybody for that
Thank
work.
you, guys, and congratulations to our staff and to everyone.
Right. And then there was a request this past week for a mission statement of the Redevelopment Commission, which I had prepared one previously for discussion. Part of our workshop sessions, the next one being to be held in September. What we can do is, I typically do this with clients as well as in my classes that I teach, and I teach the philosophy of this. It's called the Formula for Success, where we do start out with identifying a mission statement, a vision statement, and the values that we all abide by in order to develop strategies, goals, and objectives to achieve a result. So I would recommend that at the September workshop, we go through that, 1-hour work session to formally identify. I've provided to you what I had drafted in my thoughts, but that doesn't mean that's what I want. It's what you all want to do. So it's not my idea, it's your idea. So we can go through that that process at our workshop, and we'll come up with a shorter version of a mission statement, which is an internal statement of what you intend to perform or how you act over a period of time. The vision statement is how you are perceived externally by outside entities, meaning the public or any organization outside of the city. And then the values, I try to break those down into anywhere from 4 to 6 prime values. So I'll put together a packet for you, and we can go through that. And usually your first impressions are the best. And my opinion is any mission statement that's longer than 24 words is way too long. You should be able to remember it. So we can do that. So there's no motion or anything that's needed. I'll just work with Sonia to get that scheduled and on the agenda.
I appreciate that. I'm
Oh,
the
you're
one
welcome.
that requested it, and I do appreciate it. Do you know when our meeting's going to be in September?
We've been doing them after the regular meetings at this point in time, so it'll be after the September regular meeting, which I don't know what September would be, but it'd be about 25th, 26th of September.
Could I ask
you.
something that I've been waiting on in this context? So it took me a long time to realize that I think we have a logo. Is this our logo that's on top of the
So there
agenda?
is a city logo and
Yeah.
or seal, and there is a Redevelopment Commission logo, which you find on the upper left-hand portion.
I just
of
wondered
the-
if we were reviewing, and I think that art and mission go hand in hand. Did you have any thought or ideas about getting involved just as one of our members with an artistic,
I would love to, yeah, sure.
nothing against the bulldozer on green grass, but especially if we're working out the mission and the vision, to have our visuals represent that too, I think it might be a bigger deal than we might think.
Right.
I don't know who picked the bulldozer. If I'm stepping on ancient like Portage lore, Scott, you've been here a little while.
Yeah. It was the operators union.
Oh, that could be related and maybe worth noting. Maybe we need to keep a bulldozer in there
It's-
and go, but maybe there could be more than just a bulldozer.
Yeah.
I'll submit some designs.
But in the statements I did provide to you, I did make reference to the city's logo with to make sure that the word anchor was used, to make a reference to not only the port, but to our relationship to Lake Michigan, shipping industry, as well as the industry, and being anchored in the heart of the park for the Indiana Dunes. So, yeah, just something to think about.
Any other questions or comments?
The September meeting is the 25th of September.
Yep, I was pretty close.
Any other, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved?
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.